This podcast encourages and empowers you to create your own unique real story, develop your own unique real statement, and discover your own unique real self. The power is yours. Good night, Leanne Hughes. How are you doing on this wonderful, beautiful night?
Doing very well, and it's funny you say night because it's 10 a.m. in Brisbane, Australia, so it's a beautiful morning here.
Well, that is fascinating. Now, the internet seems to be cutting just a bit. I heard that there was trouble right across Australia with internet. Did you experience that as well?
Internet has always been a problem in Australia. I don't know if it's because we've got this huge country. I don't know what's going on, but I've recently got the new broadband network, which seems to be working okay. So fingers crossed.
All right, let's see how this goes. Do tell us which of your talents, Leanne, is responsible for us connecting at this specific time in history.
Well, I love learning, but sometimes I sit in workshops and the person running the workshop isn't very engaging. And so I decided to create a podcast and movement called First Time Facilitator, where I help people that are asked to run training sessions and workshops do that more effectively and in a more engaging way.
Ooh, now your face looks familiar for some reason. I'm not sure. Possibly, did you ever do a TED Talk?
No, but it's definitely on my bucket list of things to do. It's funny you mentioned that because I'm obsessed with watching TED Talks.
Oh, that's intriguing. Yeah, you just look like someone I've seen somewhere before. Let me put one more axe in there. Did you do Podfest? Did you attend Podfest?
No, but I know there's one on in March. I have attended the last two We Are podcast events in Australia, but haven't gone international yet.
All right. Right. I give up. Or should I go for one more? I'm joking. So tell me, who did you learn how to be accommodating from? It seems as though it's a huge part of who you are, being that individual that helps facilitators keep their crowd, yes, but accommodating is necessary, isn't it? Who did you learn that from?
Yeah, it's a good question. There's like a couple of people. I guess the one that comes to mind is probably my dad, because growing up, he's an engineer and he was asked to speak at quite a few conferences. And I saw the amount of preparation time he put in before delivering those. Like on weekends, he'd be walking around the house with his palm cards practicing. So I thought, preparation's really important. So yeah, he's probably the main influence on why I care so much about preparing and making really effective presentations.
Now tell us about the podcast, please. First Time Facilitator.
Yeah, so I guess it's a great excuse. I want to be a better facilitator, so I thought I'd pick up the microphone. It gives me a great excuse to interview the best facilitators and trainers around the world, and I just ask them like how they prepare for workshops, what's their advice for people that are new to facilitating, what tips and tricks and hacks that they can use. So it's been really interesting, and the good thing is that there is no one way of being a great facilitator. Everyone just brings their own unique strength to it.
All right. And where's the best place for someone that's listening, that's interested in what you do, to connect with you?
Sure. So they can check out firsttimefacilitator.com or my personal website, which is just leannehughes.com.
And Leanne is Leannehughes, yeah? Leanne Hughes.
Yeah, yes. I've never heard it's spelt in that type of accent. That's really cool.
Okay. I could do it again. Do you want me to do it one more time? We go.
No, all good.
Okay, wonderful. All right, Leanne. Well, do tell me one other thing that you've done consistently over the last 3 years, please.
Actually, just been listening to podcasts consistently, I think every day for the last 3 years.
How does that make you feel, knowing that you've been doing that?
Awesome. I think I've just the amount of learning. I only discovered podcasts, back at probably the beginning of 2016. And if you're listening to shows every day that kind of take you out of your environment, I just feel like I've grown so much. Podcasting's great. I mean, you're a fan of also because you're hosting one, but you can be exercising or commuting, and I don't feel like I'm wasting time because I'm learning on the go.
Yeah, I love podcasts. Oh, podcast has changed my life tremendously. And it's funny, folks, amazing audience. hey, if you do start listening to podcasts, you just might do one quicker than if you're not listening to it. Again, Leanne has her podcast, right? And she's been doing it for 3 years. Isn't that amazing? I love it. Suggest to someone that's listening why they should do what you've done by really maximizing on time, by combining how you learn and live.
Yeah, well, that's exactly it. I think because we're all so time poor nowadays, it's really difficult to find time to, say, read an article, a book, do a lot of professional development. So I think if you can incorporate just, a couple of podcasts into your commute during a week, you're going to grow exponentially as a result. You'll probably become a bit of a podcast nerd like you and I. And I know a lot of my old colleagues and friends and family are a bit sick of me saying, hey, I learnt this on a podcast, but I do it all the time.
Tell me one thing that I've seen in your bio. You won in 2018 the Australian finalist for learning.
Yeah, so I was the finalist in the National Awards for Learning Professional of the Year, and that actually just was a result of the podcast. So it's been getting a lot of traction, a lot of listeners. It's been having a huge impact on people that listen to the show, and as a result, I was recognised with being a national finalist. So that was really nice because it's, again, an unintended side effect of just hosting a show every week.
Wow. Well, congratulations on that. Well done. Wow.
Thank you.
All right, my friend. Well, let's switch gears for a moment. Let me invite you now into my time machine that is surrounded with beautiful, warm, blue Caribbean water. Leanne, what is your earliest childhood memory?
Yeah, I guess this memory was when I was, obviously quite young. It's one of my first ones. So my granddad, he was painting a room in our house. I think it was the lounge room. So he was painting it. And he went to stop and take a break. And he said to my older brother, hey, make sure that no one touches his paintbrush while I'm gone. And I heard that. Anyway, the second he left the room, I picked up the paintbrush and started painting. I got in a bit of trouble, but I think the funny thing about that was, and why it sticks out, is because I'd heard the rule, but I still decided to be a bit of a rebel. And I think it's kind of played out in the rest of my life. I don't really like sticking to the rules.
Ooh, she answered all of my questions in one go. I love that.
It's annoying for you, though, as a host. I know how that feels.
Oh, no. Usually I have like 25 other questions in my back pocket. So, I mean, like, what was your grandfather's reaction when he returned?
He was furious. And that's the funny thing, because Granddad, he'd never get angry. He was very mild-mannered and humorous, but I think it's because he made the point. And also my older brother got in trouble because what was he doing? I mean, why did he let me just pick up the brush and start painting? So it's very comical.
Can you remember what you painted on that?
Yeah, it was just white paint, and I don't think I did such a bad job. I think I was trying to stick in with the lines that he'd started, so it wasn't like...
Oh, that's amazing. Hey, can I offer an interpretation to the thought picture you created in my mind?
Sure.
I love the idea of what it takes to be a good facilitator. I mean, at that particular time, your grandfather had the task of, if you would, doing the keynote, right? And he left the room. How dare he? And that's what happens, right? But at the same time, he was actually doing a great job in terms of showing by actions. And you actually went up there and you repeated it. And to see that you're helping other people understand how to facilitate now, that's pretty funny. Well, not even funny. It's just really cool, actually.
That's a really interesting. I love that you've drawn those parallels there. I think that's wonderful. Good on you. Yeah, yeah, you're right. I think it just showed that I was learning by seeing someone else doing it, and he didn't have to pull out a PowerPoint to show me how to actually paint something. Yeah, right. So yeah, good analogy.
Oh, you're great. It's yours. Like, wow, you did that. Since then, you're so smart. All right, Leanne. Well, if we fast forward to when you were 12 years old, what was your favorite song?
I loved, it was probably in between Gangsta's Paradise by Coolio and TLC Waterfalls, just both really funky songs.
Yeah, definitely. Love it. All right, my friend. Well, we have now arrived at our destination, but before we get off of this time machine, there is a small declaration form. So it's yes or no. We're going to move pretty quickly here. Are you ready, Leanne?
Sure.
Leanne, have you chosen someone to pass on your skills to?
Yes.
Are you married?
Yes.
Do you have children?
No.
Do you believe in God?
I believe it's important to believe in something.
Do you have an inner circle of friends?
I do, yes.
Do you watch TV for more than 3 hours a day?
No.
How about 3 hours a week?
No.
What about...
No, I don't really watch TV.
Wow. What about screen time, the phone and the computer? Is it more than 8 or less than 8 hours a day?
Less. Probably about 8 hours if you include the computer.
Then if you had to share with us your own unique real statement, a statement that represents who you are, Leanne Hughes, what would you say that is?
Helping you create unpredictable experiences that predictably work.
Oh my gosh, I love it. Just like the unpredictability of her growing up there and painting on her grandfather's tapestry. Yeah, but it did work, right? It did work. Love it. Leanne, this was such a great pleasure. Before you leave, is there anything else you'd like to share with our amazing audience?
I just think everyone just give life a go. And Angela, I'm so proud of you for doing what you're doing. And for everyone else that's listening, good on you for absorbing new content and getting new experiences in your day-to-day life. That's awesome.
Leanne Hughes, thank you for being on What is Inspired by 12-Minute Convos with Angel Jones.
Thanks, Angel.
You're welcome.
This segment has been brought to you by Amazel Enterprise.